Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2018 action science fiction movie Higher Power. A movie that stars Ron Eldard and Colm Feore. Now, if the name Ron Eldard doesn't really mean an awful lot to you, I'm sure you will have seen his face in movies. He's been in quite a few high profile movies. He was in Super 8, Sleepers, Deep Impact, things like that. And the same with Colm Feore. He's appeared in a lot of movies, like the Chronicles of Riddick, things like that. So there are some recognisable actors in this movie, and this film is one of the most ambitious movies I think I've ever seen. And that's kind of its weakness with a film that sometimes can be over ambitious. The ambitiousness of this movie consumes it essentially. And it tries to do too much. This is almost like a mashup of a superhero movie, a science fiction movie, an action movie, and it tries to be too much. And I think ultimately, even though I did enjoy an awful lot of this movie and I thought it was pretty interesting, I think ultimately it kind of fails in what it's trying to do. And what we get with this movie basically is we learn right at the beginning that there is some kind of cosmic ray heading for Earth that is basically going to wipe out the planet. And there is no plan, basically. Not that it's widely regarded. I mean, you see some clip of a scientist talking about it right at the beginning, but it's not as if everyone knows this is happening. It's just a theory. But a plan is put in action by this secret organisation, and their plan basically is to target through a search a human with the right DNA match. And their idea is to basically experiment on this human and turn them into some kind of super being. And the ultimate goal of this super being is to stop this cosmic ray from destroying the Earth. So the target, Joe, played by Ron Eldard, who's a middle-aged guy. He's lost track of his family. He's ex-alcoholic. He's a bit of a bomb basically, and he's got the right DNA match, unfortunately for him. And they start experimenting on him. They put him through these tests, and each test is designed to psychologically put an awful lot of pressure on him in the hope to unlock this super being that is within him when they've finished experimenting on him. And that's ultimately the premise of this movie. But like I say, when I first saw this advertised and thought about watching it, Higher Power, I thought, is this one of those Christian movies? That's immediately what I thought of, like Samson and things like that. And I think as well the religious undertones of this movie are not subtle, to say the least. Although as far as I'm aware, it isn't like one of these Christian movies, but the religious undertones are definitely very, very strong in this movie, especially the last 10 minutes of it. It's definitely not subtle. But like I said, it does try to do too much, this movie, and it kind of half succeeds in some of the areas. I think the acting's pretty good throughout. The story is interesting, and the effects are pretty good. And it reminded me very much of Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan, how he was created and the powerful being that he became. It was very reminiscent of that to me, what they were doing with this character and what ultimately they ended up creating was very Watchmen-like. And the sequences, like the tests that he's put through, that ultimately, the aim is to unleash the super being. It was like Crank, the Jason Statham movies and stuff like that. It was almost like, do this or we're going to kill your family sort of stuff. So he doesn't have a choice to do all this stuff. And so it's a mismatch of all these different elements. And none of them quite work the way you hoped they would work. Ultra ambitious, this movie. But the action pieces are pretty interesting, pretty well done. Like I said, the effects are reasonably impressive. I would say the last 15-20 minutes of this movie is I liked. I thought it was impressive. The effects stood up. I thought they did pretty well with the effects. But like I said, the last 5 minutes where the religious undertones were too much for me. I didn't buy it. It just felt ridiculous, to be honest. And there you go. That's it. Higher power. Colin Feore is like he basically is in this booth and he watches and sees all, and he's like the orchestrator of these tests for Joe. And Joe's ultimate goal is to save his daughters, who he's lost track of over the years through his drinking, etc. So he's desperate to save his daughters, who are constantly under threat from this organisation who are threatening to kill his daughters. So his motivation is very, very clear, and it makes sense to me. I'm not sure I completely bought his casting as the action lead. I think he's a tad too old to pull it off. Kind of worked. But yeah, it was okay, this movie. It was nothing special. There was parts of it I enjoyed, parts of it I didn't. Incredibly ambitious, didn't really work. A mishmash of too much. I'm not sure if it wanted to be a superhero movie, a science fiction movie, an action movie. It kind of suffered a little bit from an identity crisis. But a very good premise and a very interesting idea. The execution, however, was a little bit of a letdown. So I do think there's enough here to grab your interest, and I don't think this is a bad movie. I just think, like I've said it previously, the ambition of it consumes it. It tries to do too much, and on one side of it you can applaud it for what it's attempting to do, but you've also got to try and sit through it, so it does kind of get a bit hard to watch at times, a bit hard to follow, and a bit face palmy by the end, in what it's the message it's trying to give, I suppose. So there you go. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't make me think, yeah, I need to watch this again. I thought it was a great movie. But it's definitely not a bad movie. So there's stuff here for you to enjoy, guys, if you fancy an ambitious science fiction action movie. So Higher Power, it might be worth a try. Thanks for watching, guys.